This is a Gear Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Mr. Perez, and you're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast, brought to you exclusively on Gear Network. Listen in.
What's up, people out there in podcast land? This is episode 77 of the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
Episode 7, peoples.
I am Ryan Wolf, joining you live right now, live and in living color, and on the other end of the line, on the phone, Mr. Perez.
What's up, peoples?
How you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm good, man. Except that my wife just texted me. Apparently, my dog knocked over the trash can, and there's trash all over the place.
Oh, we started the podcast at a good time then. Sorry, honey. I can't clean up the garbage. I got to be on a podcast.
That's crazy. My dog sometimes, she's just a dog.
Dogs can be dogs, that's for sure.
You know, she's a female dog, and you know what they call a female dog, and sometimes that's exactly what she is.
Yeah, you're going with that one.
Now,
first, before we get started, I am at Wolf BLTD on Twitter. Perez is at MRLG Perez. Now, Perez, before we got on the air, you had mentioned you're smoking a cigar. Now, tell me more about this cigar.
It's called Luchador. It's made by a guy named Sam Lucia. He used to work with another cigar company that was bought by General Cigar, named CAO. So when CAO was purchased by General Cigars, he did his own thing. Now, a couple of years into doing his own thing, he was made an offer by General Cigars. So they purchased his line too, his actual couple lines. So he's made this new line called Luchador. The band is pretty cool. It's got a Luchador mask on it. It's a full-bodied cigar. The one I'm smoking is about 6 inches long with a 60-inch ring gauge. Awesome cigar. Now, here's the problem. He and General Cigars recently had a falling out, and he left General Cigars. So, don't know if the Luchador will ever be made again, which sucks because they're awesome. So I purchased a box, and I've been smoking them, but I kind of want to stop smoking them just in case they're never made again.
Yeah.
You know, but I have probably 300 cigars right now that will never be made again, and at one point I have to smoke them. You know, I'm out of room in my locker at the shop because that's filled with cigars that are all either over 5 years old or cigars that will never be made again. They were once onlys. And my humidor at home, I have one of my humidors at home is full with a box and a half of these Luchadors, you know, so I kind of want to hold on to them because they'll never be made again. My other humidor is full, but I'll smoke those, so I have one humidor that I can refill, but the way I buy cigars, I tend to buy a lot of once-onlys knowing that they'll never be made again. You know, so I have 1,000 cigars that will never, ever be seen again, but I'm running out of space.
Yeah, that's a bad thing, man. It sounds like it's when you got to do something, right?
Yeah. Eventually I'm just going to have to smoke them. I got one cigar that's about 15 years old, and I can't find them. I know a guy that's got a box of them that he's been holding on to, and he refuses to sell me even a couple of them. But when I smoke that one, they're gone. It's gone.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
fascinating stuff, though.
But the Luchador is awesome, dude. This is a great cigar. I'm sad that they got into a little fight and he left General because who knows if you'll ever see him again. But that's
a fantastic point. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. Cigars really aren't my thing. We know that, but it's to like put it into like perspective of like autographs. Like there's cards out there that are one of one, and once you get it, you don't want to get rid of it because you'll never get it back.
Right. Exactly.
That's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Except that instead of one signature, I got like 20 of them, or I got like 50 of them. And it's funny because there's a couple of boxes that I have that we will see again. They'll be able to make it once every 3 years because the way the tobacco is grown, it can only be harvested once every 3 years.
Yeah.
So we're guaranteed to have these cigars at least once every 3 years. I've already smoked a full box, and I have 2 full boxes, including an unopened box that I have at home. And dude, these cigars are selling for like $500-600 online. So I'm really tempted to sell my one unopened box. But at the same token, like you said, like I may never see them again. So I kind of want to hold on to them.
Well, it's one of those things too, where like I was trying, honestly, while you're talking about it, I was kind of like, why is he so sentimental about these cigars? And then I thought about it in like the autograph sense, where I collect autographs, and people ask me, why do you collect autographs? It's like, because I enjoy it. I enjoy the art of it. Like you enjoy the art of a good cigar. You enjoy, smoking good cigars. You enjoy keeping rare cigars. You enjoy smoking rare cigars. It's your gimmick. It's your gig. It's what you like to do. And that's how I am like with drums or with autographs. So it took me a second to be like, he's got a really good point, but like, yeah, you do have a great point. It's your hobby. It's what you like to do. What makes you tick. And I may not understand cigars completely because like when I smoked cigars, I was just really bad at it, and I was not a very good cigar smoker. But but I get the art of it for sure.
Oh yeah, and see that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that when it comes to an actual cigar, a lot of people who are not up on smoking a cigar, they kind of look at them like they look at a cigarette. It's just tobacco. But a cigarette there's a bunch of crap added to cigarettes, and it's not the same. Cigars, you could get really bad cheap cigars. There's Swisher Sweets, there's Black & Milds, there's Backwoods, Phillies. Those are bad cigars. But when it comes to high-end cigars, and by high-end, I mean any cigar that might cost above, like, $6. Because, frankly, I could get a $7 cigar that's phenomenal. Or I could get a $50 cigar that may not be as good. But the way the tobacco is grown, there's different regions in the world that grows different tobaccos. When you make a cigar, you want it to have a particular flavor profile. And so you have to blend different tobaccos together, and you have to figure out which tobaccos are going to go together to make the flavor that you want or the strength profile that you want. And that's very time-consuming. I don't think people realize just how time-consuming that is. Like, for instance, I work part-time at a cigar shop. We make all of our own cigars. We have created a couple of new blends, and we have spent, I can't even tell you how many samples we smoke of a new blend to figure out the right combination of tobaccos. And then when you watch a roller actually roll a cigar, it's really cool to watch. There's more to it than just sticking tobacco and rolling it up. You have to have the right combination of fillers. You have to have the proper binder, and then you have to have the proper wrapper, and the wrapper goes on last, and you have to press the fillers with the binder for a certain period of time to make sure it holds, and then put the wrapper on this board that just, rolling it up in a wrapper. You have to cut the wrapper to the proper size. You have to cap that. You have to make sure the seam is proper. There's a whole lot that goes into actually making and rolling a cigar that people don't think about. And that's what I love about it. The art of a cigar is phenomenal. And don't get me wrong, I've smoked a lot of dogs. But what happens when you smoke a lot of dogs, eventually you hit that pearl, and that's, the cigars we put out. And that's what the whole industry is like when it comes to high-end cigar makers. My master roller, he can blend and he can roll. He's a rarity because in the cigar world, when you have companies who make, a couple thousand, a couple 100,000 cigars, they have one or two people who blend, and then they have people who do the filler and the binder, and then they got separate people who do the wrapper. My guy does all of it, so what he can do, him and his nephew, who's my other guy, what they can do is actually a rarity in the cigar world, and we're really blessed to have them because we can tell them, make us a blend, compress us, and he'll come back with some cigars that will knock your socks off. And they've done that on several occasions. There's an art to it, and I love the art.
Your socks have literally fallen off? You're okay. Your socks have literally fallen off?
No, but, that'd be weird if it did.
Next question, actually.
Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent there.
That's why we do this podcast,
You broke up a little bit there.
I said you got the passion. Now you gotta show it off.
Right.
That's why we do the podcast. Speaking of podcast, time to start the podcast. Better Live Than Dead 77. Going to start off in NASCAR. The Daytona 500 a couple weeks away, and one of the biggest stories has already taken a death blow. Tony Stewart, who was planning on retiring after the season, winless in the Daytona 500, and that streak will continue. He will not race the Daytona 500 this year. He may not race for a very long time this year. Fracture.
Bro, you're breaking up really bad, dude.
Uh-oh. That's weird. Can you hear me any better?
You're still breaking up. Must be these new headsets you got,
That's
bro.
Weird. Damn it. Damn you, technology.
Can't live with it. Can't live without it.
Exactly. Hold on a second. Hold on a moment. Give me a second, sir. I'm just gonna do something real fast. I'm gonna call into my own podcast. How's that sound?
Folks, this is sometimes what you deal with when you do a podcast. We apologize about this, little technical difficulties, but that's what happens sometimes. Oh, I think you stopped the recording.
I'm here.
Did you stop the recording?
Nope. I'm on my cell phone now.
Oh, I heard that.
This is how we do
I
things.
wasn't
This
sure.
is how we have to. Yeah, this is how we have to do things. Sometimes if things don't want to cooperate, we will make them cooperate. And
That's right.
my computer. Hold on a moment. Through my headset on my telephone, but I need to hear how I sound first. There's an echo right there. Okay. Can you hear me very well?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So back to what I was saying. apparently this week technology does not want to cooperate. That's fine. We'll deal. We're good. We've had enough technical problems in the past, but we're fine. We're fine.
That's right.
Daytona 500 in a couple weeks, and the big storyline of the 500, Tony Stewart racing his final Daytona 500, winless in his career in the Daytona 500, and that will continue after news came out this week that he suffered a burst fracture of his L1 vertebrae in his back. And for those who aren't doctors, all of us, a burst fracture is where the vertebrae fractures and shatters in multiple places. He was in a dune buggy accident where apparently he was out with a bunch of other NASCAR drivers. He disappeared for a little while. Come to find out, they're like, yeah, he hurt his back real bad. And he's not going to be able to race for an extended period of time because of it. So we will see what comes of it. But right now, Tony Stewart will miss the Daytona 500 and then some. It's, like I said, unclear when he comes back. He said this is his last year no matter what, and this is the no matter what, apparently, because for a guy who was such a fantastic racer, and future NASCAR Hall of Famer, he's had no luck with injuries. He broke his leg, and now he's broke his back. I mean, it's something where maybe that's why he's hanging it up, because he just doesn't want to put himself through the rigors of NASCAR. I mean, then again, he hurt himself racing late model sprint cars and driving a dune buggy. So like when he races NASCAR, he's fine. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Like I said, the Daytona 500 in a couple weeks, and we'll have more on that when that arrives. But moving over to the NBA now, I'm sure you heard the story, Lewis. Blake Griffin of the Los Angeles Clippers is out at least 2 months. They said it was 4 to 6 weeks after he punched a guy in the face, but now they're saying at least 2 months. And now today, as of recording time, the Clippers owner Steve Ballmer says that Blake Griffin will have some sort of consequences for his actions. Not sure yet what that means, but Blake Griffin is going to apparently be in trouble for punching someone in the face. So I guess that's the thing. I mean, the guy's
I wonder. Right.
He's already going to miss 2 months of basketball, and you're going to do this to him now, make him pay the consequences or whatever, like he's a child?
Right. I can understand where you want to discipline one of your star players for punching a guy in the face, but what are you really going to do? You going to fine him somebody? They're playing good ball, so they're not losing without him. So they might suspend him a little more. I don't know. Maybe it's something that they think that, hey, we'll rally around this because our player is dumb as hell. Yeah, but I mean, I understand the urge to want to punch people, but I wish we knew exactly everything that happened. Because it might be one of those things where you're like, yo, I would have punched that dude too. I'm sure in due time we'll find more about it. Probably. But as for right now, Blake Griffin, out 2 months. Clippers are going to do whatever they do. But we're going to talk about the Warriors now. Kevin Durant. Warriors. Yeah, man. Kevin Durant is said to be the top free agent in the upcoming class if he doesn't re-sign with Oklahoma City. And there's rumors out there right now that Golden State could be the leader in the clubhouse for Kevin Durant. How crazy would that be? Dude, if they get KD, you're talking dynasty, bro. Well, I mean, it would be taking Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. I would say Steph Curry. I'm stupid as hell when it comes to that. Steph Curry. You're taking Curry, Thompson, and Durant over depth that won you the championship. Depth that's going to win you another championship most likely this year. And possibly Draymond Green, too, who arguably has been one of the most valuable players in the league with the stuff that he's done this season. So do you want to jump the shark and go against the grain and say, look, we get KD, we could be at the Miami Heat. I mean, granted, they could get KD and still win championships.
But the formula they have right now is absolutely unstoppable and fantastic and amazing and just unbelievable how they've been so good at basketball. I mean, right now they're on pace to set the NBA record for most wins in a season. You know, they're expected to steamroll the playoffs and win the championship almost at a default. Like this year, it's not even who can beat Golden State. It's how many more games will Golden State lose before they win the championship.
Right.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, but if you keep that core, most of that core of individuals, and you add KD to it, I can always see that team being even more vicious.
Well, I mean, the problem with that, though, is if they get Kevin Durant, it's the thing where they'll have to get rid of some of that depth, some of that much needed depth that can provide them, you know, hey, if Steph's having a bad game or Klay Thompson's having a bad game or, you know, Klay fouls out or Draymond Green's not doing good, you can bring in Andre Iguodala who's going to, you know, he'll get you 20 off the bench if you need it. Like last year, we all know the reason why Golden State won the championship. It wasn't Steph Curry. It was that assistant at 3 a.m. was watching tape saying, hey, look at, you know, LeBron is really bad when Iguodala is on him. They put Iguodala on LeBron the rest of the series, and, you know, the rest is history. But, like, you need, defense wins championships, you know, having the best player in the world wins championships, but you need depth, man. Like, if you don't have, especially in basketball, if you don't have solid depth, you're screwed. I mean, there's no chance of doing anything.
That's true. I agree with you there. But if they're able to keep some of that depth, then add
the thing is they won't be able to financially. I think that's what I was reading, at least, that they would have to cut costs. I can untangle my tongue. They would have to cut some costs, and that would mean getting rid of guys, you know, key depth, maybe not re-signing Draymond Green, stuff like that. So it's going to be, you know, it would be bad news. I mean, I don't know if you'd want to break up the group that you have, you know?
Right. You know what? This is what bothers me about the NBA, is that they're going to throw all types of money at KD possibly, and as you're saying, you know, have to lose a couple guys. But KD's already made a ton of money in Oklahoma. He's not won a ring. So I would, you know, if it was me, I would tell the team to give me less, keep more, and let's go raise some more wings.
That's possible. I mean, that definitely there's potential there. I mean, it's happened before. It wouldn't be the first time, and I'm damn sure it's not going to be the last time that happens. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about championships. Like I just watched something tonight, the ESPN 30 for 30 about. Sorry, I'm going to turn the water on here fast because now that I'm mobile, I'm going to make some tea while I'm on the podcast. Bear with me for a moment. Bear with me because I'm sure this is loud. It's the rigors of live podcasting. We do what we want here. But I was watching something. I was watching the 30 for 30 with the Bears tonight about the 85 Bears. And the story that always comes out, that always comes across, is that Walter Payton was forever pissed off at Mike Ditka. I almost said Mike Dungy. What the hell is my problem? I'm just bad at names today, man. Mike Ditka. He was pissed at Mike Ditka because he never got a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and that's all he wanted was a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And he was used as a decoy the whole game. I mean, they won, 45-10, won the Super Bowl, whatever. But, like, William Refrigerator Perry got a touchdown, stuff like that. Like, Jim McMahon had 2 touchdowns rushing. Excuse me. But they never gave Gary, or what that dude, I'm just going to quit. I quit, yeah. I just said Gary fucking Payton. Like, what is my problem? Walter Payton, that's all he wanted was a touchdown. Like, it may be a thing where Kevin Durant will say, look, I'm worth, 25 a season or 20 a season or whatever it may be. But if you need to pay me 15, 10, 12, 15, maybe it's something that we can try to pull off to make this happen in Golden State. But then again, you put Kevin Durant with Curry and with Klay Thompson, I mean, that may be a thing where You don't have to have amazing. I mean, it's a conversation we can have for hours, for weeks. Like, it's a conversation that every time you talk about it, the narrative changes. I mean,
right.
We've spent 5 or 6, 7 minutes on it already, and we could go for hours because there's so many things that can change and bounce around and be different about. If Durant was to take 10 per season, or less than 10, or do what LeBron did and openly take less to be better, to have a lot more long-term future with the franchise of winning titles. I mean, that changes everything, because right now on the surface of what he's worth, I mean, they would have to make severe changes, but they've got a good thing going. Why not? Why do you want to see that end? I mean, especially if they win another championship this year, maybe Kevin Durant says, hey, give me chump change and I'll come, for a year or
right.
so. But then again, he's probably going to end up in D.C. with John Wall.
Possible. John Wall had a great game the other day.
Or in New York with the Knicks. Last thing in basketball, painful sort of talk about. San Antonio Spurs manager Ginobili was knee in the groin, and he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks with what is being termed as a testicular injury. Ouch. Yeah, it doesn't, like, when they term it, when it's termed a testicular injury, you probably know it's pretty serious.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been hit in the groin. And
it's not my favorite thing. Yeah, it's not my favorite thing.
No. It's not fun at all. But if you get knee in the groin, and they're like, you're going to be out a month, possibly a month and a half, that was a disgusting injury.
I'm thinking he's probably going to need a little if I'm not mistaken, he's having something fixed or whatever. But that's just ouch.
That sucks.
Major ouch. Moving over. Speaking of major ouch, we're going to move over to the National Hockey League because something happened this week that still had a lot of people shaking their head, wondering what the hell exactly went on. Calgary Flames defenseman Dennis Wideman suspended for 20 games after checking and concussing a referee. It's been appealed. Wideman's suspension will probably be lessened because Wideman himself is saying he had a concussion at the time. He was diagnosed post-game with a concussion, but during the game waved off the spotter and refused to be checked out. Now, that's probably something the National Hockey League is going to take some grief on. That's going to be something where they're going to say, like in football, when an independent spotter says, nope, that guy's woozy, pull him out, you get pulled out and you go get checked.
Right.
Because they can't have that happening. And, I mean, it looked innocent because it looked like Wideman had his bell rung and then went back to the bench and just laid the referee out. But, like, you can't be doing that shit, man. Like, you cannot. I don't care what's going on. Like, if you're hurt, go down. Like, if you get hit hard and you don't feel right, lay on the ice. They'll stop the play and take you off. Don't skate off and take out a referee and hurt him, too.
Yeah, because it definitely looked like he did that on purpose.
It absolutely looked intentional, yeah.
And, like, he hit him from behind, so that was even more of a bitch move. Like, that was a bad hit. I was shocked. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, there's going to be serious consequences and repercussions.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, he's suspended 20 games. It may get knocked down on appeal, but at this point, it's something that it's not good. It's certainly not good at all. Last thing in hockey before we move over to UFC, the NHL says expansion is still on the table, but they do want to keep relocation available. Now that is big for me. I mean, I've been on the case for months now as we've talked back and forth. It's something where I think Las Vegas is a lock for expansion, no doubt about it. That seems like it was one of those backdoor deals where, if you build an arena and you get X amount of season ticket holders before we give you the franchise, we'll give you the franchise, essentially. Now, Quebec City did the same thing because Quebec City wants their Nordiques back, and rightfully so. I mean, they got kind of screwed when the Nordiques left and went to Colorado years ago. So it's one of those things where, you want to see a good hockey city get their team back. But I'm of the thought process that Quebec City is and always will be, until they get a hockey team, they are the perfect city for a franchise that needs to relocate. Because it just seems to me, I don't know why, but it just seems to me like Las Vegas is an expansion franchise. Like, you don't want to move a team to Las Vegas. You want to build a team in Las Vegas. But for me with Quebec City, like, if you have to move the Florida Panthers in a couple of years, which is very feasible. I mean, they've been better this year. They're one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. They're making more money to bring in more fans, but they're still, the bottom line is what will decide that. They got a new lease and all that stuff too. But I'm of the thought process that the Florida Panthers are a perfect relocation potential for Quebec to become the Nordiques, because obviously you move a team to Quebec. It's like with Seattle. If you put a basketball team in Seattle, they're going to be the Supersonics. There's no doubt about it. You put a team in Quebec, they're going to be the Nordiques. I just feel, and from what I'm reading and what I gather and what I hear when I talk to my hockey friends, is it does sound like Quebec is going to be one of those relocation cities. Las Vegas will be the expansion franchise. As for the other expansion team, I mean, Seattle keeps being rumored, but the NHL was pretty hard on Seattle, saying pretty much, hey, get your shit together. Well, you didn't get your shit together, so you're not getting an expansion franchise for a long time. I'm not talking about it anymore. Bye. And that's pretty much how that one went. So,
right.
It's interesting to hear them say that expansion is still on the table and relocation opportunities need to be overlooked before they do this, because obviously, I mean, like I said, Quebec City is the perfect landing spot for an embroiled franchise.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I mean, we're always down. Like, when with I don't even care that much about football, but when they were talking about the Rams moving in like San Diego, I just get so jacked up about that stuff. I don't know why. It's just something that really excites my brain. It makes my brain tingle and do funny things, and I just like expansion. I like relocation. It's just, I guess it's my thing,
Yeah, I'm glad it's just your brain that it gets excited or makes tingle.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, I haven't tried that yet, but we'll see. Moving over to the UFC now. Dana White spoke this week, so we've got some good quotes. You've got some good news on the future next couple of UFC cards that we're going to be seeing. First off, Dana White flat out said for Jose Aldo, with the way Jose Aldo went down in that fight, it's quote it's tough to make the Aldo fight right away, which is probably why Conor McGregor ended up going to fight Rafael Dos Anjos, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But Aldo will get his rematch if he wants it, but it's one of those situations where it may take a little while. It may be maybe 6 months, a year down the road, because fans like to see rematches, but fans don't want to see, hey, Ronda Rousey beat the crap out of this girl, so we're going to put them in a fight again next month. It's like, no, nobody wants to see that. They want to see new fights. They want to see McGregor, Dos Anjos, and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. But I do think at some point in time, Conor McGregor will be redefending that title against Jose Aldo.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's a fight people want to see. I mean, that first fight lasted 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 13. 13 seconds. People were expecting a lot more from that. If that's something people want to see.
Absolutely, dude.
I do.
Dana White went on to say, I want to see it too. I would certainly make move plans to see that fight happen again. Dana White says CM Punk will make his UFC debut in June. I'm pretty pumped up for that. Speaking of being excited about fights, Dana White also says that John Jones, Daniel Cormier 2 will happen in April, which is what has been long rumored, but now we're going to get it, and that fight is going to be bloody. That's going to be a beatdown from both sides. Cormier has the world to prove, John Jones has the world to prove, and we're all winners because we get to watch this fight happen. Cormier wants to prove that once and for all he can beat John Jones, and John Jones wants to prove to Cormier in the world that he's back, that he never left, And
right.
Sign me up. Sign me up. That is going to be a slobber knocker to steal a line from good old JR, but that's going to be a fantastic, fantastic fight.
That should be an awesome fight. Looking forward to that. Much so. That doesn't even make any sense. I'm very much looking forward to that.
That's how excited you are. You can't even talk. Dana White gives Conor McGregor a gigantic piece of motivation in his upcoming fight. Exactly 1 month from today, as of recording time on February 5th, the fight March 5th. Dana White says, quote, "I don't see how McGregor can defeat Dos Anjos on March 5th. So thanks for the motivation, Dana White. I'm sure McGregor will remember that one after the fight when he wins, and he'll say, "Hey, Dana, thanks for the confidence. I appreciate the motivation."
Right.
Because McGregor already a cocky son of a bitch. I'm sure he doesn't need any more help, but I'm sure that quote is printed out and plastered on a wall or on a chalkboard or a thumbtack board or whatever somewhere. Because, dude, that your boss doubting you openly, like, dude, come on.
Yeah, that's not a big vote of confidence.
Well, I mean, it's you're moving up a weight class to face one of the best fighters in the world. It's risky. It's very risky. But you know what? If it was risky enough, they wouldn't let it happen. But they're letting it happen. So there's the risk and the reward. The reward is bigger than the risk. If McGregor loses, whatever. He lost. The luster's knocked off a little. But if McGregor wins, holy shit, dude! Like what? Like that would be absolute insanity.
Exactly.
And that's what the UFC wants, is absolute insanity.
Well, who doesn't?
I want insanity all the time, especially in the UFC. Tim Means, I was going to say, I don't know why I'm stumbling on my words here. He was expected to fight Donald Cerrone here shortly, and he is out of the fight after, a potential USADA violation. He has been pulled from the fight. Donald Cerrone will have a new opponent, but Tim Means apparently has failed a drug test for steroids or something. So we'll see what happens there. Also, UFC 199, we will get Chris Weidman and Luke Rockhold 2, which, after seeing how Rockhold manhandled Weidman, I mean, we could be watching a murder happen. But it's a scenario where, you know what, Weidman earned the right to fight again for his title, and I mean, we'll see what happens. Certainly, we will certainly see what happens, because I mean, it's going to happen either way as long as nobody gets hurt. But excuse me, it's going to be a good fight.
I'm looking forward to that one too.
A lot of good fights happening. UFC is if nothing else, they provide fantastic entertainment. Moving over to Major League Baseball now, can you believe we are less than 2 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting?
That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I look forward. Red Sox were horrible last year. I don't give a shit. I am very, very, very excited for baseball to come back. And you know what? We're gonna have an interview coming up here soon with Barstool Sports, a Barstool Sports baseball writer. We will talk more with him. I'm working on getting the interview. He said he would do it, so hopefully, we'll be able to make it happen. But I look forward to that. But anyways, moving over to baseball right now. One of the bigger underrated moves, I think, happened this week with the Houston Astros. They signed the pitcher Doug Fister to I believe it was a 1-year deal. And this is a fantastic deal for both sides, first off, because Fister is just 2 seasons removed from 16-win season. I mean, in 2014, he won 16 games, had a 2.41 ERA. I mean, he was a fantastic pitcher, finished 8th in the Cy Young voting. I mean, it was, he was a great pitcher. And then 2015 rolls around and he regressed. He finished 5-7 with a 4.19 ERA. Worst ERA of his career. Just a overall, just a terrible, terrible season. But You go to Houston, who's had luck with pitching, who may be able to figure Doug Fister out, may be able to turn it around. And if not, it's a one-year deal. But if it works out for both sides, maybe Doug Fister ends up an Astro for a long time, or maybe he moves on and takes his one season and runs with it in stride. But I mean, career-wise, Fister's 65 and 63 in 7 seasons, a 3.42 ERA, ERA plus of 117. I mean, he's not a horrible pitcher. So, there's still going to be something left there for sure. But, I mean, even in his 2 years with Washington, he was 21 and 13 with a 3.10 ERA in 50 starts. So, Doug Fister certainly seems like the type of guy like with Ian Kennedy, how we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Ian Kennedy signing with the Royals. This seems like a type of move like that, low risk, high reward, and where they paid Ian Kennedy a ton of cash though. But Doug Fister being an Astro could seriously be a move where we look at next November saying, man, that was the move of the season. Or we could say, that ended up exactly the way we thought it would, a gigantic bust. Either way, I won't be surprised.
I'm there with you.
Okay. Real quick, just running through the rest, there's a couple other signings here. Tampa Bay acquires outfielder Corey Dickerson. Arizona acquires shortstop John Segura. I believe it's a shortstop. John Segura. I believe I pronounced that incorrectly, but whatever. The Dodgers officially re-signed second baseman Howie Kendrick, and the Dodgers also apparently are not open to dealing Yasiel Puig, and they were reportedly in talks with the White Sox to deal Andre Ethier over there, but they couldn't come to terms on a trade. So Andre Ethier and Yasiel Puig for now will remain members of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
That's a good move in my opinion by the Dodgers. You need to keep your young talent.
Yeah, but man, they've got a very, very, very loaded outfield there in Los Angeles. And at some point in time, something has to give. No one's saying you have to do it now. I mean, no one's holding a gun to your head saying, hey, give up Puig, give up Jack Peterson, or give up, Andre Ethier. Like, no one's saying that, gun to the head, like I said. But at some point in time, you're going to have, 5 or 6 guys fighting for 3 spots. And what are you gonna do?
That's true. But that's why those people run baseball teams and we don't.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean on MLB 12 the show, yeah, because I still play the show from fucking years ago. And I know the language on the podcast tonight is running rampant. But you know what? We had some technical difficulties, and I'm mad about it. So I'm letting my anger flow through my words here. I still play MLB 12 the show, and I make the most ridiculous signings, the most ridiculous trades. But you know what? I win the World Series every season, so I don't care.
That's a great thing about video games.
You're always a winner.
You do that.
That's why I play them on easy. Now to the sport of the hour, the final week of football for a while. Thank God, because I am sick of football. But we're going to talk about the Oakland Raiders. It always seems like they are in the news these past couple of weeks, and rightfully so, with the talk of relocation and potentially moving everywhere. I mean, except for Mars at this point. I mean, they haven't. Maybe we can move the Oakland Raiders to Mars. I mean, even there, they would still probably be a bad football team, but I digress.
That'd be a very, very long commute to make it to your next game.
Yeah, 3 years, no big deal.
Right.
Las Vegas, the city of Las Vegas has reportedly been courting the Oakland Raiders. Now, the NFL says that there is no prohibition on any city. And that just means, hey, we're not purposely trying to keep football out of anywhere. It's just it hasn't worked out. So maybe Las Vegas can get a stadium, ground broken on a stadium. I mean, as we mentioned, they just built a brand new arena for hockey, allegedly. But it looks like the Raiders are going to play at somewhere. Just not Oakland. I mean, it's gonna be Las Vegas, it's gonna be San Diego, or it's gonna be San Antonio at this point. There's no real other logical options, it seems like, for that franchise to end up. So I certainly think, I mean, in my heart of hearts, I think they end up in Las Vegas at this point. San Diego, because we'll talk about in a second, that just seems like a cluster waiting to pop. In San Antonio, I'm not sure. I mean, they have the Alamo Dome, but I'm not sure if the National Football League wants to put a third team in Dallas or in Texas, not in Dallas, in Texas. Now, I mean, if you think about it logistically, the Raiders could potentially stay in the AFC West if they move to Las Vegas, because they'll still kind of be in the West. I mean,
right.
originally when they were discussing relocation, you were looking at the Chargers and the Raiders moving, and one of the teams want to move to the West, the NFC West want to stay in the AFC West. But now that you have the Rams, who are already in the NFC West, moving back to Los Angeles, that works out. And, I mean, it's all working out for the National Football League. It always seems to work out for those grimy bastards. But moving over to the Chargers now. Speaking of grimy bastards, man, tell me how this one works out. The Chargers and the Rams reportedly reach a tentative agreement where the Chargers would move to Los Angeles in 2017. Excuse me. But here's the deal. The Chargers came to an agreement with San Diego where San Diego would host the Chargers at Qualcomm Stadium for one season. The Chargers then said, hey, if we can't reach a stadium deal by the end of the season, we're moving to Los Angeles. So they're betting on the inability of San Diego to get funding for a stadium. And last I checked, they want ridiculous amounts of taxpayer dollars to build a stadium, which is why it still hasn't happened and which is why it won't happen. But San Diego thinks, hey, you know what? If we can convince the fans that the city is the bad guys, we can move to Los Angeles looking like kings. But guess what, Louis?
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
No? That's not how it works?
No, you can't. The thing about it is, you can't sit there and be like, hey, I'm about to do this stuff that's going to make you really mad. But how we're gonna do this is I'm going to do something that is going to make it your fault, even though I'm doing it. That's how it's going to happen, and you're going to be fine with it, and that's how it's going to work. And I mean, that's what's going to happen. Like, the Chargers are moving to Los Angeles, people. Get with the picture. This is what's happening. But because they put it on San Diego, and San Diego is going to fail to deliver, the Chargers are going to walk away looking like they're the ones that are being hurt in the process. Like, don't make us do this. We want to do it, but don't make us do it. Come on.
Well, we'll see what happens. You know, once it all plays out, they'll either have a new stadium or they're going to stay exactly where they were.
Oh, mind you, they've also reportedly already have scored land to build a training facility outside of the area where the stadium is being built. So, again, you know, try to BS us a little more, San Diego Chargers, because you're doing a horrible job. We got a little more word this week on Calvin Johnson, on the potential retirement of Calvin Johnson. Apparently, he told Jim Caldwell that this season was his final season. Jim Caldwell said, you know, hey, take some time to figure it out. But apparently, when the Detroit Lions were hiring a new head coach, they made it clear to their head coach, hey, we don't know how much longer we have Calvin Johnson for, because doctors are afraid of the health of his ankles and just his overall longevity. And Calvin Johnson, it sounds like, you know, his body's pretty beat up, which we know that. He's a warrior. He'll play through almost everything. So we know Calvin Johnson's been hurt for a while, but it sounds like this is like, this is the point where he can walk away and be and be healthy as possible. And I mean,
right.
it could be a thing where he leaves the game for a year and comes back. But I think if Calvin Johnson's head's not in the game, heart's not in the game, and he's not healthy, and that he wants to be healthy and have a life outside of football, it's probably best for all parties if he just walks away.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's a shame that he's leaving. He's one of the best wide receivers we've seen in a while. It's a shame that the Lions couldn't get him a championship. So it'll be interesting
and I mean,
to see
if the team was more competitive, I'm sure he might try to stick it out a couple years. But if there's
right.
nothing to play for and they're not going, it's like
right.
Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders just got sick of losing and was like, "Why am I beating myself up for this? I'm the greatest in the game. I'm going to retire the greatest in the game. What do I have to prove? Nothing. And I'm not going to win a championship." And he left.
He definitely, as much as I'm a Cowboys fan and as much as I'm an Emmitt Smith fan, Barry Sanders was definitely a better running back. And if he had not retired when he had, he would definitely hold the record for all-time rushing yards that Emmitt Smith has. And Emmitt Smith would be a solid number 2. So
I mean, it's a scenario where we look at the statistics and we say, Emmitt Smith has the stats, but who's the better running back?
Oh yeah, and I don't think you can argue that Emmitt Smith was better than Barry. And I love Emmitt Smith. He was,
it's apples to oranges, but it's kind of like the Tom Brady Peyton Manning argument. It's like, yeah, Peyton has the better stats, but who's the better quarterback? Come on.
Who's got the more rings?
Exactly. Like if there was a one game where you said, hey, starting running back, Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders in their prime, give me one game, I would say Barry Sanders 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I probably would also. Especially
I hear it in your voice, man. I can hear it. I can hear it. I can hear the cringing in your voice, but you know what? You're a man. You're a man to admit that. At least admit that, because I've had some arguments with some sports fans who are not so logical, and they'll say, that's my guy. Like, I'll take him over anybody. Like, someone saying I would take Jim Kelly in his prime over Tom Brady in his prime, and I'm like, are you high? Like, I would take Tom Brady 10 times out of 10 and twice on Sunday. Like, no joke.
Jim Kelly. Yeah, I gotta go with you there.
I mean, I'm
especially in the big game.
Exactly. Like, I'm an unbiased sports fan here. Like, I can admit, if you want to have a logical conversation, I'm not going to insert my head directly into my asshole and be like, I'm a so-and-so fan, so screw you. Like I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that Nomar Garcia-Parra was a better shortstop than Derek Jeter, because we all know that's garbage.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Back to football, though. Couple extensions to discuss. First off, Kansas City extends star tight end Travis Kelce. Good move by them. I mean, if they had a quarterback, if only they had a quarterback who could actually throw him the ball more, that would be good. I mean, he already gets a lot of targets as is, but, Alex Smith isn't the greatest. And Philadelphia extends offensive tackle Lane Johnson, which is a big move for them. They've recognized their strengths. They're good players, and they are working on keeping them around for a very long time. And why not? I mean, after Chip Kelly was cutting everybody, after Chip Kelly spent all this time cutting people, maybe keeping a couple familiar faces around is not such a bad thing.
Yeah, probably not.
Now, speaking of the LA Rams, Louis, here's a funny one for you. Apparently, no matter what happens this Sunday in the Super Bowl, the LA Rams actually are reportedly very, very, very interested in acquiring quarterback Peyton Manning next season.
Come on.
Dead serious, man.
come on.
Like they want, because Peyton's going to get cut. I mean, if Peyton stays in football, he's going to get cut. There's no way the Broncos are. I think it's like $19 million next year to pay him, or 21 if he stays. 19 if they save 19 if they cut him. 21 if he stays. They're not paying him $21 million to play football next year.
Dude. He's what? I got, you know what?
That would be
I got
hilarious.
I got nothing for you, man. That would be, he needs to retire. I understand your heart's still in the game. I understand mentally you might think you can still play the game. I understand that when you came back from injury, when Brock Osweiler wasn't playing the greatest, you won some games, you're in the Super Bowl, I get that. But you have the number 1 rated defense on your team. So your defense.
Let's not get too far into the football talk with those guys. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I get what you're going.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll wait. I'm going to wait. We'll wait. We'll talk about it.
Thank you. That's what we call in the business a teaser.
Right.
Back to the. So funny. Good on you, Rams, for giving us a laugh of the week right there. Cleveland to unsurprisingly cut Johnny Manziel after March 9th, and he's been in some apparently a domestic assault took place in Dallas or in Texas this past couple of days. They're investigating it right now, but
no, dude, they've already closed the case.
No, that is incorrect. The police department came out with a statement this evening saying that they are investigating the case still, and it's going to stay open for a little while because they said in any domestic assault, the accuser takes time to come speak to the police, and they're not going to rush it. They want to keep the case open so they can discuss it when it feels appropriate for the person who was assaulted. And today, the other thing too that I wanted to point out was that Johnny Manziel's agent has fired himself. So really, everything in the world around Johnny Manziel is falling apart. But this seems, get caught, get fired. Agent fires himself, get caught. You're in legal trouble. Maybe now is the time to take a step back, go to rehab, or just take a step back from the game of football. Get yourself right. Get your mind right. Get yourself on the right path, and then move forward with the rest of your life. Don't worry about football.
Yeah.
Just get yourself right.
Johnny Manziel's father said that if he doesn't get help, he may not make it to 24. And when your dad comes out and says that, that's rough.
Yeah, I mean he's doing some bad stuff and being bad people, and
I'll be interested to see where this. Go ahead.
I'm just get right, get help. Do what's good for you.
I'll be interested to see where this goes because the reports I was reading today was saying that obviously his ex-girlfriend said that he beat her up, and she was telling like a next door neighbor she couldn't hear out of the left ear. But when the cops showed up, she had no physical damage on her.
Well, they've already filed a 2-year restraining order against her, and just the thing with this is we always have to wait for more, because there's no information. I mean, we saw that the police have put out a statement saying that they're investigating, and that there's this restraining order, and that Manziel has kind of been a loose cannon these past few months, but. Hope the victim is okay. Hope everything is okay there. And Johnny Manziel, get your shit together, dude.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is, he needs help.
Yeah, absolutely.
He needs. Have you seen that new Little Caesars commercial where the guy walks into the office and there's a bunch of stone-faced dudes sitting there, and he's like, "Who are these guys?" And the guy behind the desk is like, "These are my no-men." Instead of people saying yes, these people will say no. And the guy's like, "Well, we would save a lot of money if we used frozen mozzarella instead of fresh." And they go to all the faces, and then one dude goes, "No." And the guy behind the desk is like, "There you have it." That's what Johnny Manziel needs. He needs some no-men. He doesn't need people out there partying with him and saying, "Yeah, let's have a good time." He needs people that are like, hey, we're not going out to the bar. We're going to chill at home tonight. No, you can't drink.
Well, that's what happens when you get a guy with a lot of money and a lot of clout and a lot of polling power, especially in that Texas area. I mean, Texas A&M legend. You know, it's something that it really works to his disadvantage. But you have to want to be better, and if he doesn't want to be better, he's not going to be better. So how many chances will he get? I'm not sure, but
I think all that hype when he was in college, just went to his head. He thought he was going to go to the NFL and make a big splash right away.
No, I think this is more. I think this was more than that because, when he came to the National Football League, he struggled with adapting to the league. But this year, everyone has been speaking of praising him. With how much better he's gotten, how much more he's been able to adapt, learn the playbook, all that stuff. But it just seems like his off-the-field antics have really taken over his life and really taken control of everything that he does, and he needs to get that figured out. I mean, if he wants to be a party animal and drink like crazy, all that stuff, more power to you, but there's not going to be a job waiting around for you.
Right. You are not Michael Irvin.
Yeah, dude.
And if people in listener land don't understand that reference, go watch some information. Look up some information on Michael Irvin, the way he used to play and the way he used.
Yeah, the joke is the reason they painted the line silver in Dallas is because Michael Irvin tried to snort them when they were white.
That's right.
That's the running joke. Yeah.
He was one of the few players, and other players will attest to this. He was one of the few players that could party on Saturday like no one's business and still go put up 150 and 3 touchdowns on Sunday. He was a freak of nature. Johnny Manziel is not a freak of nature. You need to calm down.
Let's run through some news real fast before we get to another hot topic here. Buffalo signs cornerback Javier Arenas, expected to fight for the kickoff return and punt return positions, as well as maybe a depth cornerback. Oakland to host Houston in Mexico City next season. There's going to be another game announced apparently as well. Tony Romo's going to have collarbone surgery this offseason. Not sure when or how extensive it will be, but in time we will find out. They're going to let it try to heal a little longer before they go in and try to fix it up. Philadelphia and DeMarco Murray, running back DeMarco Murray, are reportedly headed towards, quote, a stare down. That was the report on the interwebs, because they can't trade him, but they don't want to cut him. But obviously neither side wants to be in that relationship at this point in time. I mean, DeMarco Murray could potentially be a free agent, and at this point, I mean, a Dallas reunion makes sense if DeMarco Murray gets cut.
Dallas will make the most sense. He needs a front line like the Dallas Cowboys. He's not a side-to-side rusher.
They know him. He knows them, and it'll take a discounted deal. But I think DeMarco Murray, if he gets cut going back to Dallas, makes a lot of sense.
No, I agree with you. He the fact of the matter is, DeMarco Murray is a great rusher when he can run straight ahead. The Philadelphia Eagles did not have the front line to allow him to run in that fashion. He's not a good cutter. He can't move.
Like 3.3 yards a carry last year.
Right. So if you go back to a system you're already used to, with a front line like the Dallas Cowboys have, you go back to being a premier running back, and you might have to take a discount on your money, but it's better than not having a job.
I mean, if you have a healthy Romo, DeMarco Murray, healthy Des Bryant, they're going to have a top pick, so maybe something else stronger. I mean, they could make a nice little splash next year. I mean, because a lot of people agree with this one that Dallas was healthy. Dallas would have been in the playoffs. That's just those are the facts of life, my friend. But
I agree with you.
Unfortunately, they weren't. No, I mean, I don't really care if they were or not because I hate the Cowboys. I don't like the team. I don't like how they go about their business, and no offense to you, Lewis, but a lot of their fans are pompous jackasses. But I digress.
Yes, I am.
San Francisco quarterback Colin Kaepernick reportedly wants to play for the New York Jets. But that feeling apparently is not mutual, according to multiple Jets sources. Lewis, why do you think Colin Kaepernick would want to play for the Jets?
I'm going to tell you the reason. The reason is I have no idea.
I mean, that's
I don't even think he fits that system. I mean, I don't know. I can't see him. Well, you know what? I take that back. The Jets had moments this season when they looked like they were very dangerous. But as good as the quarterback played, there was times when he looked like he was out of his depth. He's not very mobile. If you put a mobile quarterback with the rest of that team, they actually could do some damage. So, actually, I take that back. He may be a good fit there. You put someone on that team that's got a real strong arm, that can move out of the pocket, you know, they actually could do some stuff.
I mean, I still think San Francisco is the best spot for him with Chip Kelly. I mean, there's a lot of diminished weapons, but it may be a situation where they can make something out of nothing with Colin Kaepernick after a down year with Jim Tomsula as head coach. I mean,
right.
They never should have got rid of Jim Harbaugh, but that bridge obviously was burned, and that ship had sailed a long time ago. But
he's done pretty okay at Michigan.
Yeah, Trent Baalke has done a decent job of collecting talent in San Francisco. So maybe Chip Kelly will be able to take a step back as a personnel guy and just focus on being as best of a head coach as he can be, and maybe that will help him out a lot. I
right.
think he's got talent. I don't know if he's got a lot of talent or a great amount of talent in Colin Kaepernick, but there's talent there. I mean, he can make something with Colin Kaepernick. I mean, Jim Harbaugh almost won the Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick, so you know it should tell
right.
you that there's something there if you can push the right buttons at the right time. But I mean, I don't think Colin Kaepernick goes anywhere. The 49ers owe him a large amount of money next season, but I don't think Colin Kaepernick is going to be a free agent or going to be able to coach in New York unless it's trade, which we never see happen. But if it was a trade, it would probably be for a lot because obviously the 49ers are dealing from a position of strength.
I read a rumor that he might end up in Dallas.
I have not heard that rumor, so I'm not buying it.
I'm not buying it either, but I read it someplace online.
Last but not least, speaking of rumors, Washington Post article came out this week reconfirming the Al Jazeera documentary that we got on Peyton Manning a few weeks ago. Apparently, at some point in time, Peyton Manning did admit to human growth hormone being sent to his house under his wife's name. Now, those are all the details we got. So that's quite a cliffhanger. You know, was it for Peyton? Was it for his wife? What happened? But apparently, Peyton Manning's investigators were showing up at people's houses, you know, essentially scaring the absolute living hell out of them so they wouldn't talk about this anymore. And, you know, when they say there's smoke, there's fire, and there's a whole lot of smoke going on over here with this situation. And I'm sure in due time we'll find out exactly what happened. But, you know, Peyton Manning's good guy record has taken a big hit. I mean, with the sexual assault allegations from years ago, on top of stuff like this, I mean, you know, it's not good for Peyton Manning. But, you know, he's a white quarterback, so you don't hear about it. You know, if this was Cam Newton, you know, this would be the start, the beginning, the end, the middle of the end of the news, all day, every day. But, you know, Peyton Manning is your favorite quarterback, so, you know, we don't hear anything about these HGH allegations aside from guys like Jim Nantz saying, "Oh, those aren't true," because I know. But no, you know what? Know.
If Peyton Manning took human growth hormone to help him with an injury, I don't care.
But
I really don't.
That's where the problem lies, because if it's okay for Peyton to do it because he's Peyton, why is it not okay for a guy to use it because?
Hey, listen, if they want to take HKH, go ahead. I got no issues with it.
Like today, for instance, Roger Goodell said something along the lines of, like, marijuana is marijuana. If you're using it medicinally or just because, like, recreationally, you're going to be suspended the same. But it's like, what if taking players off of, like, Toradol and killing themselves with painkillers, what if they smoked weed instead when they're not, like, they'll pass drug test day of the game, but, like, what if that was able to help football players better? And they were prescribed by an actual licensed physician.
I'm not a proponent of drug use. I'm not a proponent of legalizing marijuana. There's just too many studies out there that show the harmful qualities of it. But at the same token, I'm going to say, if these dudes can smoke weed and not have the health issues that they do with other pain medicines, then I'll be the first to roll you up a fat doobie.
I mean, there's a lot of players that have flat out said, they smoke weed. They know how to get through the test and make sure they don't fail, because it helps them. I mean, we saw the thing with Chandler Jones where apparently he was smoking synthetic marijuana because synthetic marijuana apparently is not legal or not illegal in the National Football League. Like,
which is weird to me, by the way.
Is not illegal or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I could be misquoting, which I probably am. But it's just a thing where
it wasn't illegal where he lives.
Yeah,
in Massachusetts.
It's something where, like, if this helps the players, don't be shitty, dude. But I mean, it's Roger Goodell we're talking about, so that's already out the window from the word go.
Right. Yeah,
now,
I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm not a proponent of it, but if it's going to help the players and they're not going to have the health issues they have with other substances, then you know what? Let them smoke a J. I really don't care. Crack a Philly blunt, fill it. Let your aches and pains feel better. Tell them you got cataract. Tell us for your cataract.
Yeah, something like that, right? But last but not least, we move to the big game. We move to the Super Bowl. Can we call it the Super Bowl without being charged hundreds of millions of dollars?
I just did. Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl. The Stupid Bowl. The Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers are taking each other on Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. And we talked about it a lot last week. I mean, we both think that Carolina is going to take the game handily. But, as the week has gone on, I haven't changed my mind at all. I still think Denver's defense needs to be fantastic. I mean, Peyton might be healthy, he might be rested, but here's the thing. Gary Kubiak was saying Peyton is the best he's looked all season, but he hasn't looked that good all season. So,
right.
Peyton may be at 60-65%, and that may be the best case scenario for them right now, gives them the best chance to win. But, like, dude, for the amount of shit Cam Newton has had to go through this week, he has been fantastic. And I think that's just going to roll into a Sunday evening where he just handles business. Where he just takes care of business.
What are your thoughts on all the stuff that Cam Newton's had to go through this week?
Dude, it's simple.
Did he
simple.
bring it up himself?
No, for me it's simple. He's a black quarterback in a widely white-driven league that is run by and written about by old white people. Like that's what it is. Like the stupid ass questions you hear this week about, Cam, why do you wear socks with sandals? Like it's an old white guy. Like get a fucking hobby, dude.
Well, let me clarify one thing. If you wear socks with sandals, that's a really ugly look. Don't do that.
Hey, whatever, man. Whatever he wants to do. I mean, he's a trendsetter. But you know what? His response is perfect when he said flat out, "Why do you wear pants with shoes, jeans with shoes?" Like, yeah, I'm not weird. I'm doing my own thing.
Someone actually said that to him?
Yeah, someone said to him, "Why do you wear socks with sandals?" And he laughed and said, "Why do you wear jeans with shoes?"
Socks with sandals is actually a black person thing. Lots of black people do that. So do certain subsections of white people. It's not a good look. It's
like
ugly.
I said, Lewis. I think it's all because he's a successful African American quarterback, and the media is a bunch of old white people, and they just get really pissed off about everything.
I think he made a very good point when he said that they've never seen something like him. He's a big guy. He's mobile. He can, beat you down the field with both his arms and his legs. The fact is, we've never seen a quarterback like him. We've seen quarterbacks similar to him, and frankly, Colin Kaepernick is another one. He's big. He's got a great arm. He's fast. He's mobile. If they can shore up Colin Kaepernick's skills, he could be on par with Cam Newton. And I think that, when he said these people were scared of him because of that, I think people ran with that. And the fact of the matter is, if you watch Cam, he's fun to watch. He has an infectious personality. He's obviously a good leader in the stadium, in the locker room. And here's the thing. I'm going to use a reference from baseball. At the start of the game, umpires always say, play ball, right?
Yeah.
They don't say work ball. They say play ball. And that's what not Colin Kaepernick, that's what Cam Newton is doing. He's out there playing. He's out there having fun, playing the game he loves. And I like seeing that. When they get into the end zone, they do their little celebration. Like, I have no issue with that. Dab all you want. Do your little dance. To me, that's fun. I like seeing it. When he hands a ball to a kid in the crowd, those kids are so happy. You literally just made a kid's life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Up to that point. The fact that he gets fined for that is ridiculous. These people, they're going to have to come to a realization that that's the game. That's the new game. People are going to have to adjust their expectations, the way they look at it, because frankly, that's the new game. And Colin Kaepernick makes it. I'm sorry, I said Colin Kaepernick again. Cam Newton makes it fun to watch. So these people just need to get off his case.
He doesn't take it too seriously, and it seems to really piss everybody off. But you know what? It's I love it. I love every second of it, seriously, because it's just something that it's just something where, if he wins the Super Bowl, people are going to melt down. And you know what? I want to see them all melt down because Cam Newton deserves every part of, every piece of someone giving Cam credit for what he's done. He deserves every second of it because you know what? He gets such a bad rap because again, he was a successful black quarterback who is not, like you said, not like anything we've ever seen before. I mean, and it pisses people off. It makes them, this guy ruining our game, shit like that. That really makes me mad, and I want to see Cam Newton be successful, if not for other reasons, if just for that reason, just to put it put it in people's faces, say, hey, guess what? This guy is playing the game a different way. And he's successful doing it. Deal with it. He's not going away anytime soon.
That's true. I mean, if you think about a couple of seasons ago when he flipped his truck, that could have been a career-ending accident. That could have been a life-ending accident, when he got hit. And he's out there making the most of what he has. And
he still wears that hospital bracelet on his wrist?
Yeah.
Crazy.
To remind him.
Yeah.
Just these people who get
fragile, man.
Right. These people who get mad at him, get a life. Get a life. It's fun to watch. I ain't mad at him.
Absolutely. I'm not mad at Cam Newton. I hope he has a fantastic game. Like we both said, we both have the Panthers. Paul Wagner, between the Barrett and me, which we will repost that link to tomorrow, the next day. He also has the Panthers. Not surprising, a Panthers fan, but still, he has the Panthers. But I think that's a good spot to end the podcast. We've been going for a little while here, but a very strong podcast. It'll be very long, but it's okay. I want to send a quick shout out to everybody who pre-ordered the Better Live Than Dead version 2.0 T-shirts. They have been printed. They are currently in the back of my brother's car as he heads to Pennsylvania, New York City for the weekend. So I will have those shortly. I'll get those out as soon as possible to everyone who ordered them. Thank you. If you want to order a BLTD shirt, we are coming out with probably BLTD V3.0, maybe May or June, another hockey-related shirt, but it's going to be a fun one this time. I mean, not that they haven't been fun before, but I've got a good idea. It's in the works right now. It's being worked on, not as we speak, but intermittently it's being worked on. So hopefully we'll have that design done for you shortly, and we'll debut that relatively soon. But again, I want to thank everybody for the continued support because it's, we're doing this to have fun. And the fact that, I expected to sell a couple T-shirts and sold a couple dozen T-shirts is just...
That's pretty awesome.
I mean, our brand is as big as our brand is as big as we make it, and we sold enough shirts where, people are going to be able to get a Better Live Than Dead T-shirt for $10. That tells
nothing wrong with that.
So.
Hey, before we wrap it up, let me just ask you one more question about the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Do you see any way that Denver Broncos can win?
Yeah, the defense has to be fantastic. I told you that's what I said last week too. Their defense has to get Carolina out of their groove early. They have to dominate the game, maybe get a couple defensive touchdowns. Because like we saw in the Super Bowl a couple years ago with Seattle, Denver's defense was pretty good. Now, granted, this Denver defense is better than that Denver defense was. But that Seattle offense was able to get their groove early and just blew the doors off the place. I don't know if that'll happen on Sunday, but I've got a feeling that if Cam Newton gets confidence in that offense quick and early, I mean, it's going to be bad for Denver.
Yeah,
I could be totally wrong. I mean, I could be wrong. Denver could come out and blow the doors off it and win, 50-7. But, that's what we're here for. We're here to talk about it. We're here to give you our opinions, and my opinion is such that I think that Carolina will come out and will control the pace of the game. There may be a few road bumps, a couple sacks, maybe a pick here or there, but I don't think Denver has enough to top the Carolina Panthers. I feel like the Carolina Panthers are like a team of destiny. They just have enough going their way that it's going to be hard to stop them.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm going to say this. It's not going to be a popular opinion, and I don't care. The only way I see Denver winning is if the NFL tells the refs, we want Peyton to get his second ring so we can ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck the NFL.
Because we know that the refs can control the outcome of the game. It's the only way I see it happening. But other than that, I think it's going to be, I'm going to go like 34-21, Carolina. But maybe more, because we've seen what they did against Arizona. I mean, they could put up 45 points easy. But Denver's defense is a little better. So I think they'll keep them in the 30 range.
I think it's going to be either way. It's going to be a fantastic game to watch. I probably won't watch it though. The only way I'm going to watch the Super Bowl is so I can see the new Captain America commercial, and then I'm going to turn it off.
I would have watched the whole thing.
I want to see the Captain America commercial. I'm pretty jacked up about that. And then in a week's time, Deadpool. Been getting rave reviews. Like, it may be one of the best out there.
I already got my tickets, bro.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Deadpool.
Going opening night.
I don't blame you.
Already got my tickets. Looking forward to that.
I want to say for I'm Ryan Wolf, at Wolf BLTD on the other phone. Mr. Perez at MRLG Perez. Thanks for joining me tonight, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
It's good to have the podcast going. Next week it'll be on a Wednesday because I'll be back to my normal schedule next week. I know files now, apparently. That's what they tell me. I passed the test, so I apparently know it, but I don't really know much. As time goes on, I'll get it figured out. But I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning in, dealing with our technical difficulties. It's been a while since we have had a technical difficulty episode. Feels good to get it out of the way. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. We'll talk the Super Bowl. We'll talk more baseball, hockey, not football. We already talked football with the Super Bowl, duh. We'll talk basketball, hockey, racing, fucking every sport you want to talk about. We'll talk about it next week. Better Live Than Dead. This has been episode 77. Guess what, everybody? We are Better Live Than Dead.
You're not.
We'll see you next week, same time, same place, exclusively on the Gear Radio Network and BLTsports.com. Thanks again for tuning in, my friend.
Peace.